For nearly a century, Earth had been a respected, though occasionally controversial, member of the Galactic Council, a coalition of advanced civilizations sworn to uphold peace, manage interstellar resources, and prevent war. Humanity had risen quickly on the galactic stage, progressing from a fractured world to a spacefaring power in a matter of decades. Earth's rapid technological development, military innovation, and expanding sphere of influence had won it both admiration and resentment among council members. Behind the council's diplomatic curtain, old rivalries and fears festered. Some species viewed Earth's ambition and unpredictability as a threat to the fragile balance of galactic power. Whispers of Earth violating technology-sharing agreements and conducting unauthorized military research in deep space began to circulate. Claims Earth's government vehemently denied, yet these suspicions gave fuel to a secret session of the Council High Assembly. In a closed-door vote, without warning or formal charges, the Council declared Earth in strategic breach of trust, a term used only once before in galactic history, just before the annihilation of a now-extinct member race. The ruling authorized immediate sanctions. All Earth-based trade was suspended, spaceports across the galaxy were ordered to detain human vessels, and a multinational enforcement fleet was dispatched to blockade Earth's orbit. The announcement came as a shock to Earth's population. News broke in fragmented pieces across the planet. Earth was no longer a member of the Council. Human diplomats were arrested on alien worlds. Colonies in Council space were told to disarm or face military action. Earth, once a respected partner in interstellar governance, had become a pariah overnight. Earth's leadership scrambled to respond. President Elira Voss called for an emergency summit at Unity Station, the orbital capital of Earth's defense and diplomacy. While cooler heads hoped for negotiation or arbitration, a more sobering reality took shape. This was not an attempt at enforcement. It was a quiet declaration of war. Admiral Tessa Ryland, commander of Earth's deep-range defense fleet, was recalled from her patrol in the outer system. Upon arrival, she received a secure transmission showing the Council fleet entering orbit, establishing control over major orbital corridors, and threatening to board Earth's communications hubs. The message from the Council was clear: comply or be pacified. As Earth's orbital satellites were forcibly deactivated and Council warships positioned themselves over major cities, panic erupted worldwide. Riots broke out in major urban centers. Communications with several off-world colonies went dark. Supply lines collapsed. The global economy, heavily dependent on interstellar trade, began to nosedive. And then came the unthinkable. President Voss was assassinated during a live broadcast. Her security detail mysteriously compromised, though no council member claimed responsibility. Encrypted intelligence suggested the act was aided by off-world agents, likely as a way to accelerate regime change and install a pro-council puppet. At that moment, any illusion of peace shattered. Earth was under siege, its sovereignty stripped, its leaders hunted and its voice silenced. But in the shadows of defeat, something ancient stirred. Deep beneath the surface, in hidden bunkers and off-grid command stations, long dormant protocols flickered to life. The world had been betrayed, but Earth was not ready to die quietly. Council had turned on Earth, and the fleet would answer. In the days following the Council's betrayal, Earth descended into a state of emergency. With the orbital blockade in full effect, major trade routes were severed. Council enforcement vessels patrolled Earth's atmosphere, intercepting outgoing transmissions and seizing unauthorized launches. The skies, once filled with bustling trade ships and orbital transports, were now dominated by sleek, silent warships bearing the Council insignia. It was occupation without invasion. On the ground, chaos rippled through every continent. Food shortages began in megacities reliant on off-world supply chains. Markets collapsed, throwing millions into poverty overnight. Protests erupted from New Delhi to New York, many turning violent as fear and anger overcame reason. Emergency powers were enacted, but with the president assassinated and half the Earth Parliament in hiding, governance was patchwork at best. The Council claimed it was there to stabilize the situation and ensure peaceful compliance. But the truth became clearer with each passing day. This was not peacekeeping. It was subjugation. Council drones began monitoring major cities. Human military installations were ordered to disarm. Resistance was met with swift and brutal orbital strikes. In one chilling incident, the Lunar Defense Station, an unmanned orbital array, refused a surrender order. Within hours, it was reduced to drifting debris by a Council cruiser. In this atmosphere of despair, a lone figure returned to Earth's Defense Command, Admiral Tessa Ryland. Ryland was a legend in Earth's Space Navy, decorated for her campaigns. During the Martian insurrection and the Orion pirate raids, she was known as a brilliant tactician, and more importantly, a commander who never left her people behind. Recalled from the far reaches of the Kuiper Patrol, she arrived at Unity Station under complete blackout. Her ship dodging Council sensors using stealth tech Earth had never publicly admitted existed. Ryland found Earth's defense grid crippled, its commanders divided between appeasement and resistance. Unity Station itself had gone dark, its staff evacuated in fear of a Council boarding action. What remained were fragments, scattered resistance cells, rogue captains, outdated warships hidden in lunar caverns, and Earth's last AI war coordinator, Exodus, locked. Behind a classified firewall only Ryland could access. Ryland reactivated Exodus, a decision forbidden under post-war Council law. The AI, once mothballed after the Jupiter conflicts, reawakened with chilling clarity and a simple question. Do we fight, Admiral? With Earth's chain of command shattered and Council forces tightening their grip, Ryland sent a coded burst through encrypted deep space relays. The message was short, nearly biblical in its tone. Earth has been seized. The Council has betrayed us. All surviving fleet elements are ordered to rendezvous under Titan Protocol. Across the solar system, the call echoed. In asteroid mining stations, on long-range patrols, in deep space colonies that had not yet fallen under Council control, something stirred. Ships powered up. Crew members rallied. Ghost fleets, hidden since the last war, were brought online. Though Earth's skies were chained, its will was not broken. Under Ryland's leadership, the remaining defenders prepared for a counterstrike. Earth would not be conquered without a fight. The Council thought humanity would bow. They had forgotten what Earth does when cornered. Earth had been brought to its knees, but it was far from defeated. Across the planet and throughout the outer system, Admiral Tessa Ryland's message, broadcast through deep space encrypted channels, was a rallying cry to the scattered remnants of humanity's military might. Earth has been seized. The Council has betrayed us. All surviving fleet elements are ordered to rendezvous under Titan Protocol. That single phrase, Titan Protocol, had not been spoken aloud in decades. It was an emergency war doctrine, drafted in the shadows of Earth's earliest interstellar conflicts, meant only for a moment when the planet faced total systemic collapse. Few even knew it still existed. Even fewer expected it to be activated. But Ryland had no other choice. Diplomacy was dead. Earth's allies had vanished. The only language left was force. Across the solar system, dormant defense installations flickered to life. In the dark valleys of Mars, hidden silos released swarm drones into orbit. In the asteroid belt, deep space outposts once thought abandoned revealed themselves as camouflaged battleship dry docks. Ancient supercarriers retired after the Orion campaigns were refitted and deployed within hours. Civilian freighters were quietly converted into gunships and troop transports. Ryland coordinated from Unity Station using Exodus, the AI command system she had reawakened, to map enemy positions and re-establish comms with Earth's remaining assets. Though outdated by Council standards, Exodus had two critical advantages. It knew every Council fleet tactic from decades of warfare, and it had no interest in peace. The AI recommended swift and overwhelming retaliation, including a strike on a Council communications relay at Ganymede. Ryland hesitated. She wasn't ready to draw civilian blood, but she understood the AI's reasoning. Without control of the outer system's relay stations, Earth couldn't coordinate fleet movement or warn its colonies. Ganymede had to fall. Meanwhile, a wave of patriotism, rage, and fear swept through Earth's scattered colonies. On Europa, human workers staged a revolt, seizing an orbital mining station from Council forces. On Titan, engineers began assembling kinetic launch platforms to hurl payloads at enemy ships without needing energy signatures. Even on distant Ceres, a rogue fleet of private security contractors pledged allegiance to Earth, merging into Ryland's growing shadow force. Still, the numbers weren't in Earth's favor. The Council had over a dozen major fleets, thousands of ships, and the support of multiple species with centuries of experience in interstellar war. Earth had scraps, a few dozen capital ships, small squadrons of corvettes, and aging orbital cannons. But what Earth lacked in power, it made up for in resolve. Ryland began assembling a counterstrike force, pulling from every hidden reserve, every willing volunteer, and every outlawed AI system that had survived deactivation. She even authorized the reactivation of Black Ice, a cyber warfare subroutine capable of disabling Council systems through invasive digital infiltration, banned under Council law for its unpredictable effects. The plan was simple, if suicidal. Strike fast, strike first, and disrupt the Council's control long enough to force a new balance of power. This wasn't just a war for survival anymore. It was a declaration of defiance. Earth would no longer ask for its place among the stars. It would take it, by force if necessary. The Council lit the fire. Now, humanity would bring the storm. The first blow came at Ganymede, under cover of a solar flare. Admiral Ryland's task force emerged from behind Jupiter's magnetic field. The fleet, comprised of retrofitted cruisers, deep space gunships, and stealth corvettes, launched a lightning-fast assault on the Council's communications relay. The orbital defenses, manned by a skeleton crew and programmed for peacekeeping, were obliterated in under 10 minutes. With Ganymede's relay silenced, Earth severed one of the Council's most vital data links. The retaliation had begun. From that moment, Earth was no longer a world under siege. It was a world at war. Ryland's strategy was brutal and precise: avoid head-on battles, hit vital infrastructure, and sow chaos across the Council's outer colonies. Using data provided by Exodus and intelligence smuggled in by rebel sympathizers, Earth's fleet targeted Council shipyards, fuel depots, and orbital command centers. The attacks were surgical, relentless, and completely unexpected. The Council had grown complacent. It had spent decades enforcing peace through intimidation, not war. The shock of Earth's sudden military resurgence rippled through its leadership. Entire systems went dark. Council commanders, unsure of Earth's full strength, began pulling fleets back to defend core territories, exactly as Ryland had hoped. Meanwhile, resistance spread far beyond Earth's reach, on colonies where humans had lived and worked alongside alien citizens for generations. Sympathy began to surface. The Council's iron-fisted response to Earth's supposed betrayal appeared increasingly disproportionate, even tyrannical. On the colony world of Betrayal Prime, human and alien workers together overthrew the local council administrator. On the moons of Proxima, hybrid militias declared neutrality, refusing to aid the council unless Earth was granted a fair tribunal. It wasn't just a war of weapons now. It was a war of hearts and minds. To fuel the movement, Ryland authorized the Echo broadcasts, uncensored transmissions revealing council war crimes, the illegal assassination of Earth's president, and hidden logs of secret council votes. Smuggled through pirate frequencies and deep space data clouds, the messages spread like wildfire. People across the galaxy began to see Earth not as a rogue actor, but as a wronged nation fighting for its survival. Back on Earth, the price of retaliation was steep. Council blockades tightened. Entire cities were forced underground as orbital bombardments escalated. Still, morale rose. Every successful strike, every liberated colony, became a symbol of defiance. Volunteers surged into Earth's ranks, engineers, scientists, even former council officers disgusted by the hypocrisy of their leaders. But the victories came at a cost. At the Battle of Eos Belt, Earth lost 3 capital ships repelling a Council ambush. Captain Silva, a key figure in the Martian resistance, was captured during a raid and executed live on Council channels. In retaliation, Exodus crashed an entire Council command AI on Arcadia Station, causing a system-wide failure that disabled hundreds of enemy vessels. It was an act Ryland hadn't authorized, but she didn't stop it either. The war was escalating beyond control. Still, momentum was shifting. For the first time since the betrayal, Earth wasn't just surviving. It was winning. And Ryland knew this was their chance to strike at the heart of the enemy. The time had come to carry the war not just to the Council's borders, but to its throne. Victory after victory had pushed Earth's name back into the stars, not as a defeated world, but as a rising storm. Admiral Tessa Ryland knew that the momentum couldn't last forever. The Council was regrouping. Its core fleets, though slow to react, were now mobilized in full force. If Earth was to have any hope of a lasting future, the war couldn't just be fought on the fringes. It had to be brought to the core, to the capital, to Elandar Prime, the seat of the Galactic Council itself. Elandar Prime was not just a planet. It was a statement, a jewel of peace, diplomacy, and technological perfection, orbited by an impenetrable defense ring and home to the Council's highest authority. No hostile force had ever reached it. The idea that a human fleet, fractured and outnumbered, could even attempt such an assault was dismissed as madness. Ryland disagreed. The plan was bold, a surgical strike to disable the planetary defense grid, long enough to transmit Earth's demands directly to the Council chambers. It wouldn't be a conquest. Ryland wasn't planning on turning Earth into an empire, but a demonstration. Earth had the power to reach the untouchable. The mission had 2 objectives: force negotiations or make the galaxy witness the price of betrayal. The fleet launched from a staging point hidden in the veiled expanse, a gas cloud that blocked sensor readings and light signatures. Alongside Earth ships were several defected vessels from alien species, small in number, but symbolically powerful. The resistance was no longer just human. Exodus calculated a 7% chance of survival. Ryland acknowledged the odds and gave the order anyway. The approach to Elandar Prime was met with fierce resistance. Automated turrets, drone swarms, and Council battlecruisers engaged the fleet the moment they broke stealth. Earth's ships, using adaptive camouflage and non-linear jump paths, managed to punch through the outer ring, but not without losses. The ISS Vengeance, Earth's last dreadnought, rammed a Council command carrier to create an opening. Its final transmission was a single word: remember. Inside the Council's inner orbit, Ryland's command ship, the Aegis Reborn, released Black Ice, the AI virus Earth had developed in secret. Within minutes, Council communication arrays began failing. Targeting systems blinked out. Orbital shields deactivated. For the first time in history, Elandar Prime lay exposed. Ryland broadcast her message to the Council directly. In a calm, clear voice, she detailed the sequence of events that led to Earth's rebellion: the assassination, the illegal sanctions, the lies, the betrayals. She offered a choice: open negotiations under new terms and recognize Earth's sovereignty, or prepare for the full wrath of humanity's second wave, already mobilizing in the outer systems. The galaxy held its breath. On the Council floor, chaos erupted. Some members demanded surrender. Others called for retaliation. And a few, those who had doubted the Council's righteousness from the beginning, stood in silence, their expressions grim. As Ryland's battered fleet began its withdrawal, one thing became clear. Earth had breached the heart of galactic power. The Council was no longer untouchable. The stars would never forget what happened that day, and neither would Earth. The skies over Elandar Prime were still scorched when Earth's fleet slipped back into deep space. Though the mission had never been meant as a conquest, its impact was seismic. For the first time in recorded galactic history, a Council capital had been breached. Earth, once considered an upstart and a liability, had forced the most powerful, governing body in the galaxy to face its own hypocrisy, under fire. The initial aftermath was silence. In the vacuum left by Earth's withdrawal, the Council fractured. Emergency sessions of the High Assembly turned into shouting matches. Allies turned on each other. Records of backroom deals, assassinations, and manipulated intelligence, leaked during the Echo broadcasts, were undeniable. What began as a narrative of Earth's aggression now crumbled under the weight of evidence. The galaxy had watched the recordings. They had seen the assassination of President Voss, the orbital blockades, the fabricated charges. Public opinion across countless worlds shifted. Earth was no longer the villain. It was the spark of rebellion. On dozens of colonies across Council space, protests erupted, alien citizens demanding justice, transparency, and an end to Council. Overreach. Several member worlds called for an independent tribunal to investigate the events surrounding Earth's expulsion. Even long-standing Council loyalists hesitated, realizing continued war risked triggering a galactic civil collapse. Vacuum. On Earth, Ryland returned to a world forever changed. The war had taken its toll. Cities still smoldered. Millions remained displaced. The economy was in ruins. Yet despite the devastation, a strange sense of pride had returned to humanity. They had not just survived, they had endured, and in doing so, reminded the galaxy of something it had forgotten. Earth fights back. President Voss's successor, Interim Chancellor Ren Maddox, addressed the people in a global broadcast. His message was clear. Earth sought peace, but not submission. He demanded full counsel, recognition of Earth's sovereignty, reparations for the blockade, and an independent inquiry into the betrayal. If denied, Earth would formally secede and begin building a new alliance, one founded not on dominance but on respect. In orbit, Ryland met with the surviving fleet commanders. She reviewed the damage reports, the casualty lists, the dwindling supplies. She also read hundreds of intercepted messages from across the stars, colonies pledging allegiance, alien captains asking for terms, ex-council members expressing regret. Then came the moment no one expected. A delegation from the Council arrived in Earth's orbit, unarmed. They carried no demands, no ultimatums, only a message of negotiation. They knew the tide had turned. Elendar had changed everything. The Council could no longer pretend Earth was an isolated rebellion. The galaxy had seen too much, and so, around a long table aboard Unity Station, Earth and the Council sat face to face once more, not as overlords and subject, but as equals, cautious, wary, but perhaps for the first time in decades, honest. There was no grand treaty yet, no instant healing. The scars would take generations to fade. But war had been paused. Forgiveness, or fire, Ryland knew the choice, was still ahead. But now, Earth had earned the right to decide its path, and whatever came next, humanity would face it with open eyes, and ships armed just in case. Because peace, like freedom, was never given. It was claimed.